Well, salutations, fellow idiots. Welcome back to yet another episode of that Full Moon Live. I am joined once again by my good buddy Chris, the old ass retro gamer.
What up?
And today we're going to be talking about, hey buddy, today we're going to be talking about demonic toys. Now, this is an important discussion because this is in fact the second time I've done a full length discussion for demonic toys. It was the movie that we chose probably, I'm thinking like 2.5 years ago at this point. To launch the idea of Full Moon Madness with me and my girlfriend at the time, sat down, and I chose this as the movie to introduce her to Full Moon with, because it seemed like a good sort of neutral starting ground, you know. And we did a discussion on it at the time, and nothing really came of it. And then, you know, I was hoping it would spin into a bunch of these kind of discussions that we're doing now. Didn't at the time, but you know, things come when they're supposed to. I ended up doing a bunch of reviews instead, like short form reviews. And here we are, you know, 2 years later, finally doing a full length discussion for demonic toys. And I couldn't have chose a better person to do it with, or hoped for a better person to do it with, man. Thank you.
No problem.
This movie, I think we both have quite a history with it, I would imagine. It's a staple of the Full Moon catalog, especially those early years. So before we jump into our first impressions and all that, we got a fancy smancy trailer to run for you fine folks right now. And so we're gonna go ahead and do that.
For 66 years, evil has been waiting, watching, wanting for someone to play with its toys.
Gonna have a lot of fun here tonight, friend.
Get back!
It's the toys. Someone's inside the toys.
What do you want?
Oopsie daisy.
Before the night is through, I'll be born in a human body, flesh and blood.
Demonic toys. Playtime has begun.
Good stuff. I never noticed the theremin in that song before. Guess I got to spend some more time listening to the soundtrack that Full Moon sent me the first time I ordered the movie. They just sent the fucking soundtrack disc in the case somehow, and I had to order it again. So in case you don't know, Demonic Toys was written by David S. Goyer, who, you know, Chris will fill you in on right now. Tell us all the stuff that guy's known for.
Oh, geez. Yeah, he's definitely moved on up in the world. He wrote one of my favorite movies of all time, Blade. He wrote the all three Blade movies, directed the third, wrote Batman Begins, co-wrote, I think, Batman vs. Superman. Basically works in the superhero genre now.
Yeah, pretty much. He also did The Unborn, which wasn't bad as far as, like, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it wasn't horrible. I feel like it was one of those sort of Paranormal Activity type movies, but it had a cool enough twist that I wasn't fucking angry that I had to watch it.
And then that other movie with Justin Chatwin where he's like dead but invisible or whatever.
Oh, The Invisible, from 2007. I was just peeping that guy right there. That does sound fun. It's based on a Swedish young adult novel. I'm a big fan of YA novels, you know. Something about them.
I remember it not being very good, but I saw it when it first came out on video.
See, it's so hard for me because when someone says a movie isn't good, I almost want to watch it more. You know what I mean? Like, well, I just
remember it being extremely uneventful for like the premise.
Oh, so it's not bad in like a fun way. It's just
it's just kind of like wasted potential kind of thing.
Bummer. Maybe I'll check out the book. I don't know.
Yeah,
we got old Cody Tudor up in the house, buddy. Hey, I'm so super glad that you were able to make it out for this one because it is an important one. So you know, it was written by David S. Goyer. Okay, it's based on, I'm assuming, you know, an idea by Charles Band. He tends to take credit for those sometimes. You know, it was produced by Charles Band and Ann Kelly. It was directed by Peter Manoogian, you want to be sexy about it. It stars Tracy Skogans from TV's Babylon 5. Always been a fan of her because of Babylon 5.
Hell
Haven't
yeah.
seen too much of her other stuff. I think she mostly did soap operas and
Yeah, I think she was on
Lois and
Dallas or something, or Dynasty, one of those.
yeah, that makes sense. She did some Dukes of Hazzards, Remington Steel, Manimal. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So she's got some cool
Yeah,
credits.
she's on Deep
We got
Space
Benton
Nine
Mitchum
once.
up in there.
Remember that?
She was
Yeah.
indeed.
The
got Benton
sexiest
Mitchum
damn
up in there as
Cardassian I ever seen.
We got Michael Russo in there, Jeff Weston, and Daniel Cerny, who you guys should remember from, I think it's Children of the Corn Part 3.
Yep.
Always been fascinated with that kid because he is a genuine fucking creep, I guess. I'm sure the behind the scenes stuff, he seems like he's really chill. He's just a legitimately good actor.
Yeah.
So he
Made a
manages
career
to come
playing
across
villains.
Yep. And probably, is he the only kid that has that in horror? Maybe. I don't think you count, what's his name? The main kid from the first Children of the Corn, because he's not really a kid. I think he's one of those
No.
kids with like that.
Yeah,
Annie
he's
Milonakis
like
thing
a
going on.
what's it called? Different Strokes.
It's got like the Benjamin Button thing. I don't know what you call it, but
Yeah, that kidney. It's like I think it's that kidney or liver thing that the kid from Different Strokes had,
right, yeah,
where he kind of like it stunted his growth.
yeah. I went to
Yeah.
high school with this kid named Levi he actually looked a lot like I can't for the Isaac. That's his name in Children of the Corn. He looked just like that kid too, only like a redhead, little ginger boy. And he still looks like he's in high school, and we're like in our mid-30s now. It's pretty wild, but he seems to be doing good. I don't know that it's one of those conditions that causes you a ton of like, health problems most of the time. I think it just does sort of stunt your growth, and maybe there's certain things you can't take in.
Yeah,
or
I
they'll
don't
fuck
remember
up your
reading
liver
about
or
anything about
something.
Gary Coleman having like health problems. He was just a jerk.
Yeah, he was punching
Yeah.
people. He still
Yeah.
had fucking fighting him much into his old age. So that kind of does it for our main cast. We got cinematography by Adolfo Bartoli, who you guys will hear mentioned a lot in these full moon discussions. I think we touched on it last time. I was
Yep.
surprised he didn't shoot Dollman because he shoots like everything for him. It was edited by Andy Horvich, who's also a full moon veteran. We got music by Richard Band. Of course, it was distributed by Full Moon Entertainment and released on March 12th of 1992. I've noticed we've been pretty close to anniversaries for a lot of these just by coincidence, which is weird. I wish I could say that I knew about that,
It's all part of the plan.
Oh, Cody's got the deets on old Isaac from Children of the Corn. He says it's called focal segmental glomerular. I lost that about halfway through. It's an autoimmune
Glomerulosis?
disease that alters the kidneys.
Yeah.
Oh, so if it's an autoimmune disease, I imagine they got to be careful not to like get too sick and stuff,
Yeah.
because they don't have the juices to fight it off. I don't know. Isaac seemed to do pretty good. I mean, he jumped on that Children of the Corn Part 6, which was probably a regrettable decision, but it's there. Daniel Cerny, though, is fascinating because that kid is magnificent, and this movie is no exception. So we've checked out the trailer. We checked out the tail of the tape. I guess now it is time for us to discuss our history with the film. When were you first acquainted with this, Chris? And what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, like most of the full moon movies, like the week that it came out, we rented it. Like usually my family, my brother and I would like convince our parents to like run out. We knew the day that we knew it was coming out so we can get it. Like, we'd be the first people to rent it from the store kind of thing. And I remember liking it quite a bit, but I remember enjoying, I still think I enjoy like the Puppet Master movies more, but it's still, I mean, I remember at the time going like, why is this movie so damn dirty? Like everything in this movie is filthy. Everything is scuzzy looking, especially the chicken place.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
It's like they got that boss complaining about their attitudes. I'm like, no, you need to tell your employees to like wash their clothes once in a while. How about that?
I'm pretty sure they just need to condemn the whole fucking joint, dude.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the security guard hadn't died from food poisoning.
I think the only reason it's still open even in the early 90s is because it was like in a greasy warehouse district nobody gave a fuck about. So the health inspectors probably aren't even bothering to go down there anymore.
Yeah, the only reason they're still open was the security guard ordering from them every night.
Yeah,
because if you look in that office, there's just the styrofoam containers littered all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm pretty sure Chernaski is like their only customer, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's he orders a lot of chicken clearly, so he's keeping.
And he
in
even
business,
complains
at
about
least.
how it doesn't taste like chicken.
Yeah, that is one of the best parts of the movie. And that brings us to a good point because, you know, he's delivering him the chicken and Chernatsky starts talking about this guy that's like farming iguanas because they take up less space than chicken and they taste just like chicken. To which, you know, our main character, what's his name? Mark? I think so.
I think so.
I always forget that dude's name, but it's
The only one I remember
you know,
is Judith. That's the only one I remember.
he basically responds that, you know, everything tastes like chicken. And Chernatsky says, yeah, except for this shit.
Yeah.
And he's talking
just
about the chicken
made me
that they
giggle.
delivered to him from this grease bucket. But that the bigger question is, would you eat an iguana?
If nobody told me what it was in advance.
See, there was a time I probably would have had a similar answer or would have just outright refused the entire idea of it. But after having tried crocodile,
I've had
I think I'd
crocodile,
be
yeah.
down.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
had
pretty
alligator.
good. Yeah, and I think actually what I had was alligator.
Yeah.
But I imagine iguana would be similar. Yeah, kind of tastes like slightly fishy chicken.
Yeah.
I'm down.
There's a
Yeah.
place near me that it's a hot dog place that's right by DePaul University. They sell like game sausages, and an alligator sausage is like permanently on the menu. And I went there and had it once, and it was pretty decent. Little dry, but
Oh man, that's a bummer because when I had it, it was like perfectly. It was like fish and chips style, where it was breaded and fried. It was super juicy.
yeah, probably
And
awesome.
At first, I thought it was a chicken strip. Like they didn't tell me what it was because back then I wouldn't have tried it. And I ate the whole thing, and I'm like, you know what? There's something going on here. Like
It's
it
not
tasted like
quite right.
chicken, but it tasted like you know how when you eat like I don't know duck, I guess is an example. When you eat meat from something that lives in the water, there's like that hint of that you can tell it's something that lived in the water.
Yeah,
You know?
just has a bit of a funk.
Yeah, just a little bit of a fishy sort of tang to it that doesn't quite match up with the chickeny texture. And I was pretty hyped on it once they told me though, because it was like, yeah, man, I'd have that again. Actually, a little tartar sauce or something, maybe some Cajun seasoning. There's various ways I'm sure you could do it that are awesome. But I meant to ask you that as soon as I was watching the movie. I was like, I wonder if Chris would eat an iguana. I think I would, you know.
Yeah,
And
probably.
they're
I mean,
super abundant in like Florida and shit. So
oh yeah, I know. Tell me whenever we go to Disney, what is it, Disney World that's down there?
Mhm.
When I was a kid, yeah, they'd be all over our condo that we were to be renting. They're
they can
all
be
over the
vicious
place.
little bastards too. I'm sure the local residents would be stoked if someone started eating them. I wonder if it's legal.
I wonder.
It's hard to say. So you know, it goes without saying that you rented this a ton, eh?
Yeah, we rented it. I remember we watched it like day one, and my brother and I both liked it. And I remember, this is one of the ones that I made a copy of for myself. And I don't remember watching it very often, but I remember once Dollman versus Demonic Toys came out, and I like loved that. That it got heavier into my rotation.
Right, I can understand that. See, I guess my history with it's a little different. It was definitely a staple in the rental rotation. It was definitely one that I enjoyed pretty thoroughly. I for one loved the greasier vibe to it, and still do. It's like a budget version of Puppet Master that's a little bit filthier, playing a little bit more fast and loose.
A little
with
bit of
the
that
quality
grunge.
the effects. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, if you injected, I don't know, a little bit of like Frank Henenlotter into the Puppet Master formula.
That's all they needed
spat
was
out,
when they pan across the toys for that first time when that guy's about to die on the pentagram and you just see Belial sitting there.
Hell yeah. He comes up and he does that fucking weird raspy scream thing that he does. One of these days I'll practice until I can imitate that. I'd still like to pull it out during some bedroom activities.
Shit, the last time I watched that movie was when you watched it with us for the podcast.
Dude, we gotta do 2 and 3 one of these days.
Hell
I
yeah.
think that would be a blast.
I remember part 2 being pretty fun.
It's weird, dude.
Yeah.
And the
The
third
third
one's
one's
kind
like,
of
what?
goes off the rails. But yeah, you know, I rented it a ton. I always liked it. It was a fun, like, adjacent to Puppet Master. It comes in handy too, especially when you want to show people like the killer doll type stuff that Full Moon would do, but they don't have time to watch like 12 Puppet Master movies.
Yeah.
You can just chuck this one on And then if they're still hyped on it, you can throw on Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, and God forbid, Demonic Toys 2. I think we are going to have to do that at some point next year.
I still have not seen that.
It's okay. It crosses over with Hideous. I don't know if you're familiar with that Full Moon movie, but
that was one of the last ones I
crosses
think I
over with
watched
that.
before I was like, I think I'm done with Full Moon.
It's pretty greasy.
Yeah.
It's pretty greasy. A little rapey.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, it's got it. They dialed up the sleaze something fierce there in the late 90s, and I for one like it, but I fully can respect why other people wouldn't. It's not, especially if you're used to classic Full Moon, it is not the preferred flavor, you know. But this is still one that I frequently pull out to show people. And the long lost Full Moon 101 stream that was mostly ruined by my cats and excessive drinking. I talked about how this one and Doll Man are probably the two that are the easiest, I think, to show someone who's never seen a Full Moon movie.
Yeah.
And then if they're stoked, then you start introducing them to Subspecies and Puppet Master and all.
Yeah, I'd say that those two are like the entry level Full Moon movies.
Yeah.
Like you get the gist of what they're all about, you know, when they do the sci-fi stuff and then they do the horror stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you show them the stuff that's like on a bigger scale, and it's like, okay, you know, I can see how you get this from that once you get some Paramount money and some castles in fucking Italy.
It's like, just so you understand, these movies are made on the cheap. And if you're okay with that, we'll keep going.
No one gets credited for working the puppets, I don't think, either. Maybe I missed it somewhere in there, but I don't think there really was puppetry involved. They're just sort of moving them around in this
Did they credit that lady in Puppet Master 2 at the very end that you see holding the puppet in frame with her hand?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I saw that. I was just like, seriously? Really?
That's pretty great. I love too how Pinhead is like a little lady inside of him, you know, like,
Yeah.
well, not even inside of him. She's just hunched down with her arms in the sweater.
Yeah, in the sleeves.
Oh man, that's probably why he's one of my favorite puppets, is because it's just so fucking funny to think about that going on throughout.
Yeah, just out of sight.
You know?
There's this person hunched down going, I'm getting a cramp, guys. Can we hurry this up?
I wonder if Warwick ever got offered jobs like that. Like, we just need a little person to put his hands in this thing. So
Like, fuck you, buddy.
real. No, I'm in the suit or nothing at all, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not getting fucking R2D2'd here. Like,
He's like, you want to pass up this?
dude, thinking about R2D2 always bumps me out too, because that little Kenny Davis guy was in that thing.
I met him, and Kenny Davis was so, or Kenny Baker, he was so nice.
Or Baker, yeah.
Yeah, he was so nice. I got an autograph from him.
There sometimes.
Huh? I wouldn't
I feel
doubt
like
it.
I read that they forgot him inside the fucking.
I can
the
imagine
R2
it being a
unit
freaking
sometimes,
oven in
too.
there.
Oh boy, and
Yeah,
it's just the thing is. Well, I mean, I'm sure he's stoked that he got a job out of it, but they probably could have done something else with R2. With Pinhead, I get it. How else are you going to make him have lifelike hands? Do not expect any of that level of sophisticated effects in this, though, because it's just not happening. I'm pretty sure that's, you know, all of it is just people moving the toys around. Even Jack Attack's just someone's hand.
Yeah.
In there. And it's fine. It works for the purpose of the movie. I've always defended it with that. They're supposed to be animated toys, and you know, if you really wanted to logic it, our devil character, our demon, he says that he's weak, so he's not able to animate these things in the same way that the little, you know, toy soldier is animated later on. Not that that's great, but it's certainly better than, you know, the lack of any animation that we're getting with the toys.
I did like the stop motion for the toy soldier.
It is nice.
Yeah.
You know, it warms the heart. Is that David Allen doing that in this one?
I would probably. I don't remember if I remember seeing his name in the credits at all, but I mean, I would assume so, since he does everything stop motion for Full Moon.
Yeah,
So.
and that seems like the type of thing he could have thrown together over a weekend and just kicked him the footage to superimpose over whatever they were.
Just
doing,
fit this
you
in
know?
wherever you need it, guys. There you go.
Yeah, he might have even already had it.
Probably.
And they're just like,
That's probably the reason they made the movie. I've made this footage of this little toy soldier. Use it where you will. It's like, oh, right, it's pretty around it.
It makes you wonder what all type of dope tests that he had laying around for various stop motion stuff before he died. I'm sure that Charlie's got it in a warehouse somewhere.
I wouldn't doubt it, yeah, but I would love to see that primeval thing that he was doing.
I've fluctuated so much with believing that that's going to happen, and then being kind of angry at Charlie for telling us it's going to when it's probably not.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
probably
don't know.
not.
Supposedly they're working on it, but
Yeah,
they're supposedly working on a lot of things.
Yeah.
We should be halfway done with Subspecies 5 by now, but I think they just barely went over there.
Yeah.
So COVID, you can blame for some of that, but also it's a full moon movie. You can afford 10 people. I'm pretty sure you can social distance, bro. It's not like it's fucking hard to shoot that kind of stuff even during these times.
It's like they don't tend to shoot actors in the same shot anyway, so you can just do everything as a one shot. Come on.
At least they're officially, I believe that Charlie's done making Evil Bong movies as much as I believe that this is the final Kiss reunion tour type situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will happen again.
As long as the money's rolling and keep it going.
Yeah. My puppy's awake, so I might have to get a hold of my kid to come get him because that could get hairy. But yeah, Demonic Toys, I think for all of us that are Full Moon fans, this is always going to be kind of a staple of the catalog. It's not their best movie, by far not their worst movie, even in the era.
No.
And it's a great movie to cut people's teeth on. So, I guess we could talk a little bit about the toys themselves because they're obviously the main attraction of the film. You got a favorite amongst these little dudes here?
Aside from Baby Oopsie Daisy's name, I would say like the only one whose name I really know is Oopsie Daisy, but my favorite is probably the Jack in the Box.
Jack Attack.
Jack Attack. That one's probably my favorite. I don't know. Something about it just cracks me up every time I saw it. Like it's so like overly excited to just be in the shot. It's like, I'm here.
Yeah, the excessive laughing almost borders on like
it's like some little
Adult
hyperactive
Swim.
kid.
Yeah, it's great, dude.
And it's like, you think I'm distracting you with my little rattle thing over here? Then I'm gonna bite you. It's like, no. I'm just loud as hell.
Dude, I think that's such a sinister element to him. How he's got that rattle, like he's like a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
He's by far the creepiest of all the toys. Second to him would definitely be Teddy. I don't know if that's his official name. I've always just called him Teddy because it makes sense. Baby Oopsie, for some reason, is like the most iconic, quote unquote. I would argue that it's Jack Attack because when I think of Demonic Toys immediately, that's the toy that I think of. And then probably Baby Oopsie second,
Yeah. I like the sculpt of Jack Attack's face. I just think it looks creepy as hell.
Oh, it's brilliant, and his eyes are all bloodshot.
Yeah,
I mean it's got a very sort of old school Pennywise vibe to it. With
and people are afraid of clowns and shit, and you get that there too.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those instances where it's like him and what is it? Tim Curry as Pennywise. Like I get being afraid of those clowns. I suppose I don't have that. I think clowns are mostly ridiculous, which I believe is the intended effect. But Teddy would be the second runner up for me, like I mentioned, as far as creepy ones. I love how he transforms into like a werewolf teddy bear type creature throughout the movie.
And this time, watching it this time, I noticed that like every time he would like eat somebody, he would get a little nastier looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he just turns into the big, the bear.
Yeah, it's almost like he's charging up.
Yeah,
good element for like a video game version of this, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But
he's doing that the power up.
Baby Oopsie is pretty boring for the most part. Would be pretty boring if she didn't have a foul mouth and she didn't go around stabbing chubby guys in the dick. The little robot has always been the one that I kind of understand why people like collecting replicas of it, because I feel like it's easy to make, but it's just kind of lame. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just like their version of 6-shooter.
Pretty much, only just nowhere near as cool.
Yeah. I wish the face lit up or something.
That would be nice. I think it does light up in Demonic Toys versus Dollman, doesn't it?
It's been a while.
And then I think they changed the color of his blasters, lasers from blue to red. I think it has been since last year.
Because red is evil.
It is. And then I guess in addition to the toys that we've touched on, we also have our demon character. In the depiction you see of him there on the screen, and some pretty glorious fucking devil makeup, actually.
Yeah.
I forget who plays him in that version of it. Let me check if it's on the list here.
I forgot.
But
he looks familiar to me for some reason, though.
He does, and it's it's cool that they've got, you know, Daniel Cerny in there as like the kid version of him. And then, you know, they've obviously got this Robert Stockele.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that name at all, but
Yeah.
that's who plays him as the full grown devil version of him there. And he's pretty great too. I always have wondered, and I've never looked into it enough to figure it out, but I feel like it's probably his voice that they dubbed Daniel Cerny with.
Oh,
Not that
yeah,
they
to make
need
him sound a
just-
little more creepy. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, both of their performances complement each other really well, and it is kind of unique to see a movie like this that pulls off like two people playing the same character
Mhm.
and doing it convincingly. You know, because their mannerisms and body language and everything about how they're doing it matches up pretty well too. I'm sure that's mostly down to Daniel Cerny being an amazing child actor.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if the older version, the older actor, like based his performance on what the kid was doing, or if it was the other way around.
I feel like you're onto something there,
Yeah.
because Children of the Corn 3 proves that this isn't a fluke with that Daniel Cerny kid.
Yeah.
He's legitimately talented at
You got to work with Charlie Theron for like 2 minutes.
And then we've got, they don't really count as toys, but do kind of. They give me a toy vibe, and that's the little sort of watch guard dog girls that he's got roaming around on the tricycles with the
yeah.
gas masks.
Oh shit! They
I don't
found us.
Yeah, they're basically just there to track people down and point them out so that, you know, the toys know where to go to kill them or whatever.
Mm.
But it's such a neat idea. I like the fact that they're not actually real or tangible. They're just an illusion, but, you know, definitely not an illusion you want to get spotted by. The gas masks are entirely pointless, but they look cool. So
Yeah.
these guys were onto something years before Slipknot and bands like that figured it out.
When I was watching it today, I was like, the only reason they put the gas masks on the kids was so that they didn't get sued by the people who make Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely a good thing they didn't include jump ropes and shit.
Yeah, no shit. It was just because the one that points him out looks. I mean, if it didn't have the gas mask, it would look just like that kid from the beginning of Dream Warriors.
True.
This is where it takes us.
I think it's in terms of like the cast of villainous characters we've got here. Demonic Toys is a step or two above a lot of Full Moon movies, really.
Mhm.
When you think about it with the Puppet Master movies, like you usually get the puppets and then one other person. And that kind of is the case here, but it's just there's a little bit more variety to it with, you know, the little kid version and the adult version of the demon, the tricycle girls, and then the four toys, you know.
Yeah.
So credit where credit's due there. I guess now's a good point to jump into our characters real quick before we bang out what plot exists. There's pretty extensive plot in this movie, but you know, we'll get there. So we've got, of course, Tracy Skogans from Dynasty and Dallas and Babylon 5.
Yeah.
What do you think of her character in this film?
I really liked her. Like I kind of like I said in Doll Man, like, you know, they threw like the strong character in there. I like the fact that, well, you know, at the very beginning of the movie, she tells her partner, he's like, "Oh, by the way, you know, you're my baby daddy." And in like a lesser movie, you know, that when that
reaction
happens,
to it too,
yeah,
where he's like,
"Oh shit,
great,
yeah."
great,
But like
that's
you
awesome.
know, we've seen movies before where that happens, where like a woman tells her boyfriend, "Oh, you're about to be a kid," and then like 10 minutes later, he's dead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the woman becomes like a blubbering mess for the rest of the movie. And this one, she just kind of like goes, "You son of a bitch," and then she just runs after those guys to gun him down.
Immediately snaps into
Yeah.
action.
So I was just kind of
And to
like,
be
"That's
fair,
awesome."
It's not much of a bait and switch considering that guy's acting talent. Was
Yeah. Well, that was the thing,
non-existent,
was
but-
like his civilian cosplay was sorely lacking, because the moment he walked out of that car, I was like, "You're a cop. You
Yeah.
look like a cop."
you don't even have to be streetwise to see that dude's
No,
a cop.
like just
and then
there's
the way
no-
he talks, he's trying
Yeah.
to sound like tough with those guys. It's like, oh my god!
It's like these are either the worst criminals ever, or he's just really good. I think it was.
I
the
think
other
they
one.
sort of knew because they reacted pretty quick. If anything, those criminals are some of the best, like sleazy slimeball type criminals. They're on par with the dudes in Doll Man, I think.
Yeah.
Especially that main guy. Both of them, really. I like how that one guy's like meow, and then he pops that fucking that bubble with his gum, and he's just so disgusting. But pretty much, they immediately botch that shit and he's dead. It doesn't even take 10 minutes. It's more like
No.
3, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it's basically like within the first 5 minutes of the movie, you've gotten like your character motivations with the two of them. Then the guy is dead, and she just goes into Terminator mode.
Pretty much. And she,
Yeah.
to her credit, she fucking swings the one dude like right in the rib cage. It probably
yeah.
would have been a fatal gunshot.
And she is buff in that movie too. I mean, when that guy tears her sleeve off, I'm like, God damn, I can see the veins in your arms. Shit.
Hey man, she had to carry that whole 5th season of Babylon 5.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, she takes out the one guy essentially, and then captures the other dude pretty effortlessly.
Yeah.
Only they end up locked in that room, and then even then, she like is being pretty smart about how she's trying to get out of there.
Mhm.
It's not like she just kind of sits there twiddling her thumbs. She's actively trying to get somebody to notice that they're in there, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean,
And even when she does, she's like, "Yeah, I can't leave this guy because he's gonna find a way to get out of here. So you guys need to be doing you guys need to do my job for me for a minute, because I need to watch this fool." But yeah, I really liked her character. She didn't turn into like just like a blubbering mess when most female characters in movies probably would.
Yeah, exactly. She really does a good job too of like being a pretty decent cop. She could have abandoned that dude. I'd wager that most people would have just abandoned that guy and left him there. And if he, ends up surviving for them to book him later, cool. I guess our next character would be Mark Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Bentley Mitchum plays that kid.
Yep.
He's our chicken boy, I guess we could call him. He has absolutely no fucks to give about his chicken job, which is one of my favorite elements of the movie.
Look, I wish I mouthed off to my boss the way he mouthed off to his.
Hey, you just got to get a job at
cigarette in your mouth. No, it's your
fucking... Yeah, I love it. That's my favorite line in the entire history of the Moon so far is that moment, and then I like how he's like, you better come right back here when you're done, mister. And he's like, maybe I won't come back. Maybe I'll just plow your fucking chicken mobile into the river.
He's like, please do. They can claim the insurance.
Dude, probably be more money than they'd made selling chicken in several years from the looks of it.
Yeah.
That chicken mobile is pretty sweet too. In hindsight, I'm kind of bummed that I didn't grab a photo of it to put up here for the people because it is a work of art.
Yes, it is magnificent.
Then, of course, we've got Peter Strum as Chernasky, one of the best characters in Full Moon history. I mean, he's a hardworking man. That
God, they killed Santa Claus.
Diligently, well, that is one of his better moments. But he diligently watches over this toy warehouse while enjoying his greasy chicken-like substances, several bottles of hooch, some Hustler magazines, and Full Moon films, while listening to Polka.
Wasn't he watching Puppet Master 2?
Yeah, I believe it is Puppet Master 2.
You see that Charlie Spradling girl dying in the background like twice.
Yeah, and he's listening to Polka over it, which makes me wonder, like, I bet you there's a Polka album out there that we could do the whole thing, like, where they line up Wizard of Oz and Dark Side of the Moon or whatever. There's probably
Demonic
a Polka
Toys
album that fucking lines up perfectly with this.
I was going to say, man, they need to take, like, a black light to that office that he was sitting in with all the porn he had laying around. It'd be like a Jackson Pollock painting in there, man. It'd be nasty as hell.
That would be a sight to see, I'm sure, dude.
Be like that murder scene from Basic Instinct, like there's cum stains all over these sheets.
Once they flip on that light, I'm sure the roaches aren't going to seem so bad.
Yeah, no shit. Like that's the least of our problems right now. We got to like pregnify this office.
He was also in Terminator 2: Judgment Day as the bartender, Lloyd.
Yep. I can't let you take the man wheels, son.
So that's probably his most notable appearance for people that aren't Full Moon fans. But for us, I think it'll always be Santa Claus. I mean, I can't think of too many other movies where a mall Santa gets in a fight with a old grizzled detective
and pins a guy to a wall with some antlers.
So good. I love how fucking Tim like sets himself up for it too. It's some good choreographed like pro wrestling style fighting.
Yeah, grabs that candy cane, starts whacking him with it.
Now, and then in addition to those people, those are kind of our sort of main players for the beginning. And then we are introduced to the sort of runaway homeless chick that's been living in the vents of this toy warehouse. Always forget her name, and I'm pretty sure it's not Barry Lynch.
I call her exposition hobo.
That's pretty much what she is, you know. It doesn't look like she is. Wait a minute. Apparently, this Christine Rose girl that's in the movie playing Miss July. Oh no, they credit the girl from the fucking magazine in the cast right here, dude. I was like, wait a minute, one of these people was a Penthouse playmate, but it's Miss July when they talk about her right there.
Nice.
So she got a movie credit without even realizing it. I guess Crystal Carlson is the little girl that plays the gas mask chick. I'm trying to find this girl here that's like our runaway chick. I'm guessing it's probably Ellen Dunning. I think her name might have been Anne too. That maybe sounds familiar. She's okay. She is definitely an exposition hobo. She just kind of comes in to tell him like, okay, these toys are alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what's up with the gas mask girls. I'm pretty sure they're demons, and then she's dead. And that's basically the gist of it. She runs around with Mark for a little bit.
Yeah, I like when they jump into the those vents. Like when they show it in the wall, it looks like it could barely a person could barely fit in it. But then when they show the inside of the vent, it's like two people side by side.
Oh yeah, dude, and I'm pretty sure they've used that same vent system in several Full Moon movies.
Yeah,
because they look the same almost every other.
It made me laugh.
They do. Yeah, I'm sure that like many things, Charlie's got them in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah,
still to this day.
Just attach them together like Legos.
I don't know what we really call I guess the trick-or-treaters are just a general group of kids. Not too much to say about them. They're trick-or-treaters. They do, however, accept the demon baby from this creepy old couple.
For whatever reason.
Many questions, yeah. And it seems like they just follow her directions like it's something normal that you just do. I mean, sometimes on Halloween, an old lady...
It's like, bitch, plant your own tree.
Tells you to plant it like a tree, yeah.
If I got that as a kid when I was trick-or-treating, we'd have gone back and burned that lady's house down, and we'd be screaming like, bitch, give me my whatchamacallit.
Dude, if I got that as a kid trick-or-treating, I would have like put a layer of clear coat on it and just put it on a shelf in my house. It's like I'm keeping it.
Like, this is an awesome prop.
Yeah, it super is. And really, it actually is. That's one of my favorite scenes of the movie is the whole demon birth. And then
I like the sound it makes when they throw it.
It's all jiggly.
It makes that really lands like.
And then, of course, we've got Daniel Cerny, which we've talked extensively about him up to this point. We've sang his praises well enough. He definitely has some like really subtle makeup. I think they just give him some long fingernails and like some contacts, but it works. When you've got Daniel Cerny being a chilling little fucking shithead in your movie, you don't really need to make him up. Children of the Corn 3 kind of proved that. So,
and he looks like he's having fun too.
He really does. I think the kid, and when you look at the Video Zone, he sounds like he was having a lot of fun. I imagine this kid was probably somewhat of a horror fan. I don't think you can tap into it like that unless you're watching like other people do it, you know? And he seemed in Children of the Corn, you kind of get that vibe too. Like he was just really enjoying being there. And I imagine if I was doing that shit as a little kid, I'd have been in seventh heaven.
Yeah, he was
so
like
kind of
basically the lead in the movie.
Yeah. Two horror movies that are, well, Children of the Corn 3 isn't exactly praised as much as it should be because it is one of the better sequels, in my opinion. Probably 3, and then what is it? Like 5, the one right before.
Which one has Naomi Watts in it? Is that 4?
I think it's 4 or 5. Yeah, it's 4. Those two are actually really 3, 4, and 5 are pretty damn good. It's 2 and 6 that are kind of like.
Yeah, 2 is like, I remember the trailers for Children of the Corn 2 made it look awesome with all the weird CGI stuff they had going on, and then you watch the movie and it's like 10 seconds of the movie, and it's like right at the beginning, and then the rest of it's just boring as shit.
It's pretty fucking disappointing, dude. Yeah. I do respect it for picking up right where Children of the Corn left off and trying to make some sense of all of it. But come on, we don't need you to make sense of it. Just do cool shit like they did in part 3. We got Gorio Rotten up in here making another appearance on the show. He says, "Man, I barely remember this movie. You guys make it sound way better than I remember." I feel like it probably is that good though, bro. you should give it another go. I think you'll, especially reappraising it with different eyes as like an adult, you might be able to see how it's like, okay, they were intentionally making this budget Puppet Master,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I could see a lot of people being bummed on it, like, oh, it kind of misses the mark. It should have been better. Like it should have had better effects like Puppet Master and stuff. But if they were trying to do it on that level, we might have gotten one of these, you know, we wouldn't have gotten, you know, 3 of them over the years. So it works. The new Baby Oopsie stuff that they're doing currently is pretty rad too. I think I sang the praises of that last time we were doing this, but you guys should all definitely check it out. And I think that pretty much that does it in terms of our cast of characters. I guess we could bang out the plot real quick. I just showed his comment twice. Not that I don't love you, Corey, but can't be doing that. You know, the basic plot is that this chick is pregnant, obviously. She tells her detective boyfriend that she's been philandering with him clearly on the job during some of these stakeouts, I'm sure, that she's pregnant. And he has the best reaction to it. He's like, that's great. Like you could totally tell that dude was not gonna be there for the even if
it's like the moment he did that, I was like, you're dead. He's a dead man.
Yeah, he's dead, or he's gonna be paying some child support because this isn't gonna last. You know, he gets killed by these dudes that they're doing like an undercover arms deal with to try and bust them, obviously. They flee into a toy warehouse. She wings one of them. He ends up bleeding all over, like, you know, this area that sort of resurrects these toys, I guess. The toys end up killing him, using his blood to sort of, I guess, resurrect themselves more. I don't know. It's not really clear. There's not a lot of backstory other than the fact that 66 years prior, this demon that had been born into the world through these old people or whatever, and their daughter, presumably, was planted in a graveyard by some kids that eventually this warehouse full of toys was built on top of. That's about all the logic you really need. You know, he's down there suckling up this blood. He animates these toys to act as his like physical extension into our world so that he can find a vessel to be born into. And essentially how he's born into our world is he rides shotgun down the birth canal through somebody's pregnancy.
Because that kid's gonna do the nasty.
Yeah, do the nasty. I gotta like clip that out as a sample for various purposes later, because
that was the creepiest thing he did in that movie was when he said that. I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, no, and it bothers a lot of people that you showed the movie to.
Yeah, like, oh,
I've had
no.
several people comment on that. And that's it. You know, basically, you know, Tracy Scogan's character is pregnant. She chases these dudes that she's pursuing into this doll warehouse, this toy warehouse, you know, through this dude being wounded. These dolls, this demon is resurrected and able to animate these dolls to pursue her in hopes of, you know, capturing her, I guess, and being born through her unborn.
The fight over the soul over child kind of thing.
Pretty much. Our exposition hobo, Mark from the Chicken Place, and Chernaski just get swept up in this by happenstance. They just happen to be in there. The one bit of like, you know, illogical shit with our exposition hobo is that she acts like these dolls have been running around here for a while, but they clearly were just animated when this
happened. I like how they're going through the vents and she just randomly says, yeah, it must be some sort of like demonic ritual or that needs blood or something. I was like, wow, you gleaned a lot from being in this place for 2 days.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
she's like, I've been sleeping in this place for like 2 days. And I'm like, wow, and you're still here. Good on you.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked any other place in this very obviously mostly abandoned warehouse district. And it just it's great, man. It's basically them saying we're trying to keep this at a cool 80 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
So
as full moon movies
while they're crawling, you know?
Yeah. We only got 75 minutes and 15 of credits, baby. We got to make this work.
Yep. Got to get it in there and get it done. We don't need to spend the entire movie explaining it. Because at the end of the day, who really gives a shit? You know, if they'd given us a bunch of backstory on the demon or told us what demon he was supposed to be or what his end goal after being born into, or like, would you really care that much?
No, they just kept it pretty simple. He's just like, I'm a demon. I need to be reborn. It's going to be through you. Let's get it going. Come on.
Yeah. You pretty much just want to see the demons possessing people, the toys killing people, and stabbing dudes in the dick. That's
and they get to it pretty quickly, I think, for a full moon movie.
Oh yeah, I think it's maybe like 15 minutes, and you're right into Chernowski getting stabbed in the dick. So
Yeah,
it's not.
and I remember I
very
said that
long
too.
at
I was
all.
like, why do the fat guys always get stabbed in the fucking dick? I mean, come on.
It's just our lot in life, man.
I
I
know.
don't know. I'm
If I
mentally
don't die
preparing
like that, I'm
myself
going to
for
be
it
very
most of the time.
disappointed.
Yeah, I'm hoping I do. Uh, it's, but that's it. You know, they end up trapped in the warehouse, essentially trying to, you know, escape these toys and avoid this demon. There's a running thing throughout the movie where Tracy Scogan's character, even prior to the events of the film, had been having this dream about her unborn child playing like War, the card game, with this other weird, creepy little kid, Daniel Cerny. And so that's the underlying plot of Demonic Toys, is there's this war over this lady's unborn fetus. And you get, you know, the demon talking a bunch of shit. And, you know, I guess that's the closest she becomes to ever being kind of like blubbering and useless, is when Daniel Cerny is turning into her dead boyfriend to mock
where he's
her and
fucking
stuff
with
like
her that one scene. Yeah, that's the only time she really just kind of breaks down crying.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
He died, well, fucking
She's like,
40 minutes ago.
She's like, you son of a bitch, I'm a single mom now.
This is one of the only full moon movies too, where most movies you kind of have to like leave in some sort of room for the timeline to play a little bit. But I feel like Demonic Toys almost happens in real time, you know.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like there's a few edits you miss, like, you know, Mark driving to the warehouse, but other than that, it feels like it all pretty much just plays out like one chain of events, which is kind of neat. Benefit of shooting a movie as quick and to the point as Full Moon did some of these, you know. And that's basically it, man. I mean, you know, that he at one point possesses the surviving criminal. I guess we should talk about the first two dudes' death, though. That guy pretty much stumbles into these toys, ends up getting his fingers bit off by Teddy, and just absolutely ravaged by our boy Jack Attack.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time we really get to see the rattle in play.
There's also really one of the things, like when when Jack Attack first shows up. What's the first toy that like gets in his face?
I think it's Jack Attack. Yeah,
he
comes out and he's sitting there and the thing's going and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then it pops out and it bites.
It's like, why is it? Do people always stick their face closer to the thing that wants to eat it?
Well, yeah, I can't relate.
Yeah, it's just like the when he's just sitting there staring at it. I'm like, it's a fucking clown toy that's alive, and you're just sitting there going like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah, I was like, I wonder what's gonna happen. Oh, my nose.
Yeah, what big teeth you have?
Yeah, it's like,
you know,
and 3 people do that in the course of the movie too, because what's it, Chernosky or whatever?
Yeah,
he kind of does it with the bear.
Looks at it, you know.
Yeah, and it's just like people just kind of like stare at it and like let it happen.
Which I suppose helps with the runtime. If they put up a fight, that add a solid 5 minutes to this. Yeah, you can't have that.
It's like, come on, we don't have enough film to cover this shit. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's horror movie logic, I guess, is what it boils down to. But even in your average horror film, usually people struggle a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets dispatched pretty quickly. You know, he was gonna die anyways. He was like gut shot, and there's no way that dude was going to the hospital.
I remember the first time I saw the movie too. I thought when he first saw the light in that one area, and he kind of like crawled to it, and then kind of like I thought he died, but I guess he just passed out. But I was just like, oh, okay, he lasted long. Okay.
You thought he was going to heaven, Chris?
I just thought that he crawled to the light and he just croaked, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's it for that guy. And then he wakes up later on. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is what I expected.
Yeah, and he's sweaty as fuck too, which adds to the griminess of the movie.
They didn't have air conditioning in that damn warehouse, man.
It didn't look like it, man, and they probably didn't in real life. If they did,
that office has to stank.
Oh my god, just like farts and old chicken and fucking other bodily excretions.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Nasty.
I've never noticed it having a smell, but I imagine if enough of it accumulates, there's probably a scent involved. And Chernowski just looked like he had a smell to him.
Yeah, he just had like a little bit of that musk.
And he's our next death in the film is Chernowski. He ends up just eating it hard. I especially love the build up to that though, where he rescues them out of that whatever locker that they're stuck in. And she's kind of telling them what's up, and basically, like you said, sends them out to do her job for her while she babysits this guy that's handcuffed to a thing. You know, logically, they could have done that. Chernaski
Mhm.
could have just held the gun on him while she went and did her thing. But wouldn't be much of a movie without him getting stabbed in the dick.
Yeah, we came to see a
So he
body
pretty
count.
much, yeah, he gets tripped by, I think it's the bear that whacks him.
Yeah, I
with
think
the
the bear
baseball
whacks him
bat,
with the
isn't it?
baseball bat. Yeah.
Which probably the only time I've ever seen a bear use a weapon. Maybe.
It's like your mouth is the weapon. Use it.
Pretty much, and it does. You know, like once he's down on the ground, Jack Attack and Teddy make short work of his facial features.
Yeah, they double
while
team
Baby Oopsie absolutely just shivs the shit out of his dick, and it looks painful, man.
Yeah, because she just
They
kind of goes,
could've
"Hey."
Yeah, one would have done, but I think she stabs him 3 or 4
Yeah, it's
times right in the crotch.
Like, are you
know?
stabbing him in the dick? Or are you jacking him off? Let's go.
I especially like Mark's reaction to it, man, because you can tell that him and Chernaski have a genuine friendship. You know, there's several moments of that leading up to it where you can tell like this kid maybe doesn't look up to this guy, but he makes working for this shitty dead end chicken joint like a little bit more tolerable because he gets to
Yeah.
go and hang out and like
It's like Chernovsky
watch
has like
full
no
moon
fucks.
movies
He
and-
gives no fucks.
yeah. Yeah, man, and you know he seemed genuinely upset that Chernaski was getting killed, and then his reactions throughout the whole film are pretty believable, I guess. You know, he's like, "What the fuck is going on here? Why the fuck should I put up with any of this?" Like,
Yeah, they turned him into like the what do they call it? The not hyperactive, the hysterical like female character that you would normally get in a horror movie. They made Bentley Mitchum that guy. Like all he
Pretty
does is like, "Oh my god!" Like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do? We gotta get out of here! Oh my god!"
But I can relate to him. There's a
Oh, yeah.
point at one point where he's like, what basically he says in so many words, like, why the fuck should I be part of any of this? You know, so some demon can fucking bang this chick? Like, that's stupid. But he does a decent enough job, and he whacks a guy's head off with a shotgun at one
Yep.
point, which
Yep.
I guess would be our next kill or death in the movie. Actually, I think that happens after our exposition hobo
Yeah,
gets
she
eaten.
does. Yeah, she gets it. She buys it next. Yeah.
And then he like hits Baby Oopsie with that flamethrower thing, and she's like, "Ooh,
The
you're
bug
getting me
spray.
hot."
Yeah.
It's
Some of the
fucking
shit that comes out of that baby's mouth, it's like I remember when I saw this as a kid, I was like, "This is funny shit. This is some funny shit coming out of this doll's mouth, guys. This is so funny." And I watch it now, and just like, "Shut up."
yeah, it's a
like,
little
just stop
bit
talking.
very much they were trying to capitalize on like the idea of Chucky being a
Yeah, I was gonna
foul-mouthed
say it was like a
doll,
Chucky kind of thing.
but Chucky has Brad Dourif behind it,
Yeah,
who's a great actor and some well-written dialogue. Baby
and the
Oopsie
facial
is
animations
full
on Chucky are fantastic too. That kind of sells it.
Come here, buddy.
But
You want
yeah,
to
it's
get
just
in the episode?
yeah, it's just like I can I can walk, I can talk, I can shit my pants. It's like wow, somebody wrote that.
Oh, we got a special guest arriving
Oh,
right now.
shit.
This is Chance. He's
Puppers.
having some issues down here, so we're gonna bring him in the episode. That should score us an extra like or two.
Yeah.
What's this
Oh,
about?
that is adorbs.
But yeah, Baby Oopsie's pretty lame in hindsight. She's actually like better in the new movie, but it's
Huh.
that was written now with hindsight involved, and like they're not trying to do necessarily the Chucky thing as much, but yeah, pretty much, you know, her death is pretty uneventful. She just gets bit in the face and stuff and
Yeah, she gets stabbed in the eye.
dies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. But after that is one of the best scenes of carnage in the film, and that's when the demon possesses our main crook guy that she's up to this point had, you know, handcuffed to this like shelf in that locker that they got stuck in, and he eventually pulls out the tiniest pocket knife in the world and frees himself from that predicament, only to immediately get his ass kicked by a really buff Tracy Scoggins. So
Yeah.
yeah, which I thought was great too. You know,
She's like, think I didn't see that, huh? Bam.
Dude, a lot of other movies would have like turned him into a sub villain and used him to pad the runtime, but
Yeah.
Tracy Scoggins pretty much immediately fucks him up and recuffs him. But then he ends up getting possessed and attacking her, and that's pretty much at the point where, you know, I think it's does Mark shoot him in the head, or is it Tracy Scoggins finally?
I
Is
think
able to
Tracy
shoot
does
him in the
because
head?
he kills the big bear.
Yeah. And then pretty much like he shows up and has another damsel in distress. Oh shit, look at that. The
Oh,
worlds
shit.
collide.
Oh my God, it's Homeward Bound.
Right now. Yeah. Milo and Otis in this bit. Only these dogs aren't gonna get killed or anything.
No.
There you go, buddy. Go on, climb in there. I love when he whacks that dude's head off with the shotgun. It's just so random. It doesn't make any physical sense.
No.
There's really no build up to it, or I mean, I could see if like while he was possessed again, if this movie was like a solid 20 minutes longer, we could have seen him rot a little bit, and it would have made sense when his head came off. But I like that it just comes off. You know?
Yeah.
They didn't need to do that, but they did it for us, Chris.
I know. We get exploding people in the last movie, and in this one we get a pretty awesome
Dick
decapitation.
stabbing and heads knocking off.
Yeah,
you know, just getting
that's how you
whacked
do it.
off.
That's how you get the kids in the back in the day.
Take notes, guys. This is the type of shit we need to see in these low budget movies. And
Dick
he's talking some
shivin.
good shit to her. You know, it's always fun when like the demon in a movie possesses someone and even after they're dead or something and makes them say something they shouldn't. It's a little bit of a callback to, I guess, him transforming into her boyfriend too, because I think the thing says something to that effect at that point or maybe earlier. It's just a neat scene, you know. Pretty much nobody does anything to really defeat this demon, though, for the most part. It ends up boiling down to her unborn baby that has to defeat it.
Someone saw Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
Yeah. A few times.
That would be David S. Goyer.
If anything, though, and I touched on this recently when I did a nightmare discussion with some people, but that kid is super poopy in Dream Child. I don't like his face. There's just something about him that I don't like.
That kid was creepy looking.
He is. He looks like a little creep, and in not like a skillful way like Daniel Cerny does. You know, he just seems like he's probably a little creep. But you know, they do it in a fun way in this, I guess, with the toy soldier and stuff. That's how you could tell these dudes were like all very much older than us, I feel like, because we're not from the toy soldier generation. I don't think either of us. Like, you're older than I am, and did you have toy soldiers like that as a kid?
Hell no.
I think
we had G.I. Joe.
we had if we had toy soldiers, they were the little green plastic.
Yeah, the little army
ones,
men.
like
Yeah, that
Toy
was
Story.
basically it. Yeah, the one you get in a little package of like 30.
30 shit. Usually you could get those big fucking bins of them where there was like 150 of them in there, and then a bunch of random like set dressing, you know, like sandbags and little machine gun turrets and shit.
Yeah.
Actually really missed that. And it occurs to me looking back on it too, like if you really wanted to go hobby wild with it, you could buy sets of those and paint them to look realistic.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, we get the little toy soldier in there with his musket. Really disappointed that we didn't get a scene where he jammed that fucking bayonet in the devil's eye. That would have been really cool. But, you know, he comes in and kind of saves the day, and we get more of that dreamy like imagery of, you know, him and the kid. And the real life kid that they get to play her unborn child does look like a bit of a puss. But, you know, I guess he's supposed to. And when you're sitting next to Daniel Cerny, you're not going to look as badass as that.
Yeah, like that first dream scene that starts off the movie when they're playing war and he says war and he like pouts afterwards. He's like, yeah, I'm getting upstaged by this other kid. I'm not going to try.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do, you know?
Just that pouty face.
But sorry. Dude, I love how those dream sequences like that I feel like there's like a music video that used to play all the time back in the day, and for the life of me for like 3 days I've been trying to remember it.
It's like a Pat Benatar video or something.
Some shit. Yeah, it reeks of like an early 90s MTV video.
Yeah, like something you'd see from Heart.
It's got that, what do you call it, like a Dutch angle on the camera.
Yeah,
so it's
kind of got the what do they call that blurring effect, the soft focus effect.
Yeah, like that combined with the Dutch angle, and then everything's moving in ways it shouldn't. It looks like, you know, like, I don't know, like Tool or something, like the beginning of a Tool video or some type of shit like that. Or I think you're more onto something with the dreamy Pat Benatar type thing or something. Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like early 90s.
Yeah, it was like Mnuchin was like, I've always wanted to shoot a 1980s music video. Here's my chance.
Yeah, he did a good job, man. I mean, it's like there's chairs rocking that shouldn't be. It's a good time. But yeah, that's kind of the movie in a nutshell, really. Have we missed anything?
Not really.
I feel like we did it justice. That's basically the gist of Demonic Toys.
It's not too complex. It's not too complicated.
It's a great example of some solid beer and popcorn shit. Whereas even something like the first Puppet Master takes a little bit more thought and like attention to detail, I guess.
Trying to set it up so that it doesn't the big twist doesn't come out of fucking nowhere at the end, kind of thing.
Right. And it works, they do a great job of it. But I think with something like Demonic Toys, just by the nature of the subject matter, like why waste the time doing that? I'm thankful every time I watch it that they took the route that they did with it, because it's a fucking fun movie.
Yeah, it's over before you know it too. It moves pretty quick.
Yeah, and it's 86 minutes. It's even longer than some of the other full moon stuff.
Longer than Dollman.
Feels really short. It is. And honestly, Dollman feels like a longer movie. I think Demonic Toys, once it gets going there, it moves along at such a clip that really the only portion of the movie you could accuse it of like dragging in any sense is when we're getting the flashback with the fucking kids planting the gelatinous fucking demon fetus.
The
and
squishy thing.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's like, you're not going to complain about that. It's just, it is a noticeable slowing of the pace for a moment. But hell, that could be a movie in itself. Like that whole backstory with that old couple and who's this?
Yeah.
Is this their daughter or whatever? That
there we go.
Is giving birth.
Demonic Toys, the beginning.
There we go. Maybe we can make it, Chris. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe we can make that the opening scene of the Revengers.
Dude, fucking A, bringing back Daniel Cerny as an adult would be rad.
He plays the adult version of the demon now.
Yes, exactly.
That would be amazing.
That would be such a feather in the cap for that movie. To
Hell
have
yeah.
that kid
Let's
back
make it
for
happen, Charlie. Come on, Charlie.
You guys out there got to help us make that happen too, though. I'm pretty sure that if Charles knew that there was like desire for that shit,
come on, if they can save Star Trek with the letter writing campaign, let's get this going.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I guess, it's hard not to praise Demonic Toys. Its flaws are there. They're there on the surface for anybody to see. We're not going to spend a bunch of time like tearing those apart. The fucking animation on the dolls could be better. Some of the special effects could be better, but then there's some of it that's really good, like the stop motion animation on the toy soldier or the makeup for the adult demon. Or really, I like the chunky like effects that they use for when like Jack attacks biting people's faces and stuff. It's very clearly not like a full-on special effect, right? It's just they put the goop on his face and then like kind of grabbed it with the puppet or whatever.
Yeah.
But it looks good. It does the job.
They used enough shadow where it kind of covers up the fact that like chunks aren't being ripped out of the dude's face, kind of thing, and then you have to do like some crazy makeup effect.
It's surface level effects. It's the type of thing any of us could do if we had a replica of Jack Attack and some household products,
And like when you think about
makes it pretty cool.
Yeah, when you think about it, like how many full moon movies were like legit gross, other than like some of the like Lurking Fear or Castle Freak kind of thing.
Yeah, you're onto it.
I don't think any of them are like they're rated R just for thematic stuff mostly, but like they're never like gory except for like those Lovecraft ones.
Right. And even when it does happen, it tends to be, it has that haunted house quality too.
Yeah, it's kind of corny,
that, like,
I guess.
You're not. It doesn't feel like you're watching like some Savini level fucking ultra violence or anything. It's
just get the point across and move on, kind of thing.
Yeah, because the appeal to most full moon movies isn't that you're trying to watch a bunch of splatter, blood, and gore. They have it in there. It's in there.
If I want that, I'll watch a trauma movie, kind of thing.
Exactly. Or fucking Maniac or something.
Yeah.
It's like there's a bunch of options out there if you want properly disgusting stuff.
I always say like the full moon movies are made to be fun.
Yeah, and to their credit, with later stuff like Head of the Family, they could gross you out plenty without using blood and gore. So
it didn't, trust me, I know it turned me off on the brand altogether.
we're gonna get you to watch Head of the Family again one of these days.
All right.
I love it, but it's in a different way than I love most full moon stuff. But this one is solid, just wholesome. Fun for the whole family. Throw it on, show your kids. I've shown it to my daughter many times. It's one of her favorites and for her all-time favorite full moon poster. Yeah, I need to get her like a 11 by 17 version of it for a bedroom. But yeah, I mean, it's good times, man. It doesn't waste any of it, and it certainly is one that I think, love it or hate it, you'll probably remember because it is just such a solid early example of Full Moon. So I guess, we've talked about the effects, we've talked about the characters, the creatures, if you want to call them that. The sets, production design or whatever, there's not much to it. They just found a greasy warehouse district. I'm pretty sure shot this in probably one of Full Moon's storage warehouses.
Yeah, that looks it.
And yeah, that's all you need. I mean, it's, there's not much to the sets. They didn't build anything. Even Chernaski's like control room or whatever is very clearly like a real security office,
Yeah.
It's just they grossed it up a little bit, dressed it a little to make it look like it fit the character.
Yeah.
In terms of soundtrack, I mean, Demonic Toys, that, I'm surprised I never noticed that theremin before, but even just seeing it in the movie, the theme is one of the most recognizable, I think, of the Full Moon movies. It's got this sort of fun, whimsical feel to it, but creepy at the same time. Richard Band certainly did a good job on it. There's not a ton of music in the movie. I feel like even with the soundtrack album, it's something like 8 tracks or something like that. And most of them are only like 2 minutes long,
I noticed that the opening credits said that there's like, songs made by Joker or whatever. And I was like, who?
Oh, you know what I'm betting it is?
And
It's because
I think it's just the songs that were playing in Bentley Mitchum's car when he was like doing the deliveries. Or I think that's just that whatever he was
100%.
playing.
And that band shows up in other Full Moon movies, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
It's like kind of because that was their whole thing. A lot of people don't remember Moonbeam Records, but it is actually one of the things I do remember from being a kid because they talked about it in some random videos on once. But that was Full Moon's record label that they put out like all of their soundtrack albums on. And their whole grand design, because I think mostly Richard, I think it was like a thing Charlie did for his brother.
Yeah.
But they were both fans of like rock music and stuff like that. I mean, and just music in general. They use Oingo Boingo tracks, and Bad Channels in and of itself is a good example of Full Moon's, love for the rock and alternative music of the era. But
that's where all that Paramount money went. was licensing those bands.
Well, the whole thing is like, in addition to their soundtracks, their aim with Moonbeam was eventually to release records by a lot of those bands. And to their credit, I don't think we would know about some of those bands from Bad Channels if they weren't in the movie or on the soundtrack. Also, being real about it, I can't remember any of their names.
Wasn't one of them like Switchblade Sisters or something?
Something like that. And then there's that band that wears the masks and stuff. They're a lot like Mr. Bungle. You'd hope, but no. I think if Guar
I was gonna say that's asking too much.
Yeah, Guar probably would have done something with Trauma as well.
Yeah,
being that they're located in the same region, and it fits the aesthetic a little more. If you ever watch those full-length Guar movies that they made back in the day, they feel a lot like Trauma movies.
Oh, I saw the Green Jello movie.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, they made like a video. So. Yeah.
Are you talking about Serial Killer or whatever?
I can't remember. One of my friends had like it might have been that. I remember he had like a video. He had like a VHS tape that he bought that was like about Green Jello, and he was happy he got it before they were forced to change the name.
Yep. Now
that's all I really remember about it. Yeah.
And I'm so used to it now that I just call him Green Jelly because it's been so many years. But there was a time where it was really hard for me to call him Green Jelly because I always knew him as Green Jello because of the fucking Maximum Carnage soundtrack and just being into it as a kid. But and there's a Guar connection there. Guar used to make their stage props for him for a little bit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because they were just doing shit out of like chicken wire and paper mache and like 2x4, really dangerous stage props. The type of stuff you can't get rowdy in or someone might get legit injured. But yeah, man, I mean, it's, that was Full Moon's whole thing for a bit, was trying to put out these bands, and I believe Joker was one of them. I don't think anything ever really came to fruition with it. The closest they got was like putting David Arkenstone all over the Robot Wars soundtrack cover. That's the one I was talking about that one night, by the way. It wasn't whatever movie I thought it was at the time, Meridian. It was Robot Wars. He's on there looking like fucking Rod Stewart with his shirt unbuttoned way too low. Like it's disgusting. And then in a tiny little fine print, it says music from the motion picture Robot Wars in the corner. And then you
Nice.
flip it over and it just looks like the Robot Wars soundtrack. It's got the robots and it just looks like a normal soundtrack. I forget where I was going with that, but yeah, Joker is one of those bands that Full Moon was trying to put out for a bit. They were always guilty and still are to this day of having higher aspirations than what they could typically deliver on. And you know, he means well, Charlie. He just tends to promise stuff before he's got the ability to deliver on it. And I just don't
Lofty
see that
ambitions.
stopping. Yeah. I don't see him stopping that anytime soon.
No.
When he promises shit, you pretty much got to cut it in half and take it with a grain of salt. Like
Yeah.
we're going to get at least half of that, and it's probably not going to be as good as he says it's going to be, but it'll still be fun. I think that's pretty much where we're at with the Deadly 10. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we've talked about the music, production design, special effects, characters, creatures. I suppose now we should jump into our favorite characters and favorite scenes. What do you say, Chris?
Sure.
So I'll let you go first since you're our guest here. Let's see what you got.
My favorite character is definitely Judith. I don't know. I tend to like the strong female character stuff. I guess I would have to thank Joss Whedon for that, even though he's a total chode.
He really is.
But
Absolute knob. But
yeah,
he
writes some great characters. I got to give him credit. He writes great characters. Yeah,
I think Buffy had a big impact on a lot of people in our general age range. I know you're a few years older than me, but we're in there, you know. And it's,
I'd definitely go with like River from Firefly.
That too.
Like even though she's nutty, she still got her shit. Like when she needed to take care of some shit, she did it.
You know what breaks my fucking heart too is even with him kind of getting semi-canceled, I feel like we're overdue for somebody to have picked up Firefly and brought it back, you know.
Yeah, they were talking about a
I
Netflix show for a little while, but I think half the cast was like, you know, I think we're done with that. We should just move on.
Which is such a bummer, dude, because it's still like it almost fucking hurts. It doesn't almost. It hurts my heart that Firefly got pulled out from under us. At least we got Serenity.
Yeah, at least we got some sort of closure that we didn't get when the show got canceled.
And you know what? Looking at a lot of these things that they do now, we're probably better off with them not reviving it. But there's that little optimistic nerd buried deep down inside me somewhere that's like,
I'd at least like to see like a mini series or something, just like some like 3-episode mini series or something to just like have it like another story in that universe.
I could live with that.
Yeah, just something.
Cool.
But then again, now that I think about it, that movie came out in 2005. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. It still feels new.
I know it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but damn, now that I think about it, I'm like, God, I'm old.
Yeah, when I see it too. I mean, there's been times I pulled it off the shelf recently and almost watched it, and you know, like you feel like it's like 10 years ago, maybe, but it's actually quite a lot longer than that. Yeah, dude. I mean, her character is great. I feel like the stereotype again with dudes in our age range or nerds in general is that we're all misogynists or something, but I think the vast majority of us really like these strong female characters and always have. I mean, we're not saying this to score brownie points with any of you guys listening. Her character kicked ass.
Thank Ripley for that.
Yeah, exactly. You can trace it all back to her, really. She kind of is the OG like kick-ass lady main character for a lot of us that watch these genre films, and it's just continued from there. I mean, fuck, one of my favorite shows of all time was Dark Angel. That's another one that got canceled on us, but I always was attracted to that, even as a young lad. It was like kick-ass chicks. You get the kick-assness, and then you also get the sexy element of it.
Yeah. I guess like from watching so many horror movies, I get so sick of just seeing like the original Night of the Living Dead with like Barbara just just cowering the whole movie, crying, hysterical, whatever, catatonic. It's just kind of like what's the point of having this character even in the movie at this point? She's just
cringe,
annoying.
Yeah. And the fact
so when you see the opposite of that in a movie, I'm like, yes, that's what I want to see. I want to see someone who's proactive.
Yeah, and much like you touched on with Bentley Mitchum's character too, it is sometimes cool to see like the guy you would assume would be the tough kid in the leather jacket actually freaking out and like having a bad day because of the events of the shit, So I give us more credit than we deserve, or I mean, give us the credit we deserve when it comes to I guess, progressiveness with that, because I think most nerds dig hot fucking chicks that kick ass. I don't think that's
even like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
Right. I think
Yeah,
it's
like
go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, even she just, like, didn't take. I mean, yeah, she was screaming and crying and all that, but when push came to shove, like, she fucking stuck that coat hanger in his eye and stabbed him in the chest and put a knitting needle in his neck.
If a dude in a fucking Shatner mask attacked me while I was babysitting, I'd be screaming and crying too, and I'm a grown man. So,
but that's the thing, is like, that's just not what she was doing. She wasn't just like running and hiding.
Yeah.
She was just kind of like, yo, fuck you, boom.
Yeah, she got busy with his ass. She was like, "Oh, you want to scrap, bro?" And she fucking stabs him with a fucking knitting needle. I mean, that's still one of the.
That's badass.
Thinking about getting stabbed with a knitting needle is just. But yeah, man. I mean, it's I think that the reason that stereotype, well, for one, the stereotype of nerds being all misogynist fucking man babies that hate strong female characters is more of a modern thing. Yeah. I never remember hearing that before, like the female Ghostbusters reboot. I think that situation around that and the way certain people handled it in like the comment sections really sort of painted us all wrong.
Yeah.
So it's,
the newest one is that new Thor movie that's coming out. I saw a bunch of comments. Yeah, that there's a picture that they released of Queen Valkyrie sitting like on a throne, and she's got Natalie Portman as Thor sitting like on a throne next to her, and it's like, we're ruling over new Asgard kind of thing, and all the butthurt, I'm afraid, like, women shouldn't be in positions of power. We're just like, this is bullshit. This needs to stop. Disney's doing this whole, woke bullshit. I'm like, will you just stop it? Just grow up and just
translation.
Stop it.
I've never seen a vagina in person, and
it scares me.
Settle the fuck down.
It's like, bro. It's a fucking movie. This is not, that's fantasy. It's like, I'm able to discern between the two.
Yeah, come off a bit, guys.
I don't get it.
Another one that's a great example is the new Predator movie, Prey. That's getting.
I still haven't watched the trailer yet, but I need to.
Me either, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to. I want to go into it blind. I usually am pretty good about avoiding anything other than the initial 30-second teaser for stuff, because trailers just ruin movies for you nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know why so many people watch multiple versions of them. But that one's getting it on both sides. You got the misogynists and the sort of casual racist people coming out for it, because they're like, oh,
because it's about natives.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is just going to be woke garbage. Like, why would a predator ever fight a lady, let alone a lady that's part of a?
Did we not establish this in the other movies, that if you have a weapon, you are a target? Doesn't matter what sex you are, what color you are. You have a weapon, you're a target.
Dude, that's the thing that fucking infuriates me about the whole situation with the new Predator movie in this, is that they're calling out the fact that a predator would never go against a woman, and then the most common thing is these douches saying well, based on the pre-established lore, why would they even bother fighting Native Americans? And it's like, what? Did you just forget fucking 15 years of Dark Horse comics, or are you not aware that exists? I mean, the Native American thing, or tribal people in general, is a fucking main theme throughout the entire decade of Predator comics that preceded all the modern movies. It's there. And then in Alien versus Predator, we get that whole Machiko chick, who the Predator at first is kind of going against, but also fighting alongside.
Ends up teaming up with her, yeah.
Bros. Yeah, we got it. I mean, they literally did it in the AVP movie, didn't they?
Yep. So and I remember calling it out in the theater. I was like, I was afraid that this movie would completely ignore the comic books, but apparently someone on the writing staff read one.
Oh, yeah. I feel like with the modern ones, we've kind of gotten that. Predators was basically sort of a reworking of Captive, if you think about it. And then what was the one with all the prison people was basically a reworking of Bad Blood, maybe? I forget, dude. But there's one where it's about all these prison dudes basically getting fucking attacked by the Predator, and they have to band together and try to survive.
The Predator.
Yeah.
I don't talk about that one.
they took the serial killer element of the comic that the Predator was based off of and inserted that into Predators, which took elements from Captive. I mean, they've all basically been riffs on Dark Horse comics.
Yeah.
Some of them, like the Predator, done really poorly. But more to the point, it's just stupid. I mean, if you're going to sit there and criticize something like Prey or the new Predator movie for not following established lore, then your knowledge of the established lore should go beyond the first 2 fucking movies and what you read about the Predator on fucking Wikipedia. You know?
Yeah.
Just reading about its race and seeing, oh, they're warlike hunters that like to challenge themselves by fighting blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, there's several examples throughout the comics of the Predators adjusting their gear kit to make it more of a challenge to fight whoever they're fighting. So there's just no logic that these guys have to stand on for their weird isms and
I've given up trying to figure out like modern day geek culture. You just never know what's going to trigger, you know, the trolls and all that kind of stuff. I just at this point I just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
It's like I just everything
Go
sets
ahead and come
everybody
at
off.
us about Tracy Scoggins being a strong lady in this movie.
She's
check out
she's
those
the
fucking
shit.
biceps, dude. She would.
Yeah,
fuck
she's
you up.
fucking jacked in that movie. Man.
Yeah, she.
I remember like
little pocket
like,
knife or not, you're getting.
It makes me wonder if like she saw Terminator 2 before they shot the movie, and she was like, "I want to look like that."
Dude, yeah, 'cause she does have that similar physique to Sarah Connor when she's like working out in prison and shit.
Yeah.
Tracy could have put a little bit of protein in her diet, I think, to bulk up a little bit more. She was a bit skinny, but that's she's always.
But I don't care.
kind of a
She
skinny
was
lady.
still like she was fine as hell.
Yeah, she's 90s hot like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So that does it, guys. I mean, that's I suppose I should throw out my favorite characters. Mine would also be, well, really my favorite character is probably Chernatsky. But you know, Tracy Scoggins
Dick
is
trauma.
second. I really like Mark a lot though too. All of our main characters in this are pretty great. I wouldn't consider our exposition hobo to be a main character, but she's actually pretty good too, you know. Not a bad performance in the bunch. And my favorite moment obviously is when, you know, is that a cigarette in your mouth? No, it's your dick. It's just such a good moment. But more seriously, I think my favorite actual sequence in the movie is Daniel Cerny like terrifying her by changing into the different things and then giving her the backstory and it going into the whole flashback. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite scene's probably the whole flashback, like we were talking about with the trick-or-treaters, just because of how random it is. It makes me laugh.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh, I've got something better than candy. Here's a baby." And the kids are all like, "Oh, you need to plant this," and they're like, "Okay, we'll go do that right now." What? It just makes me laugh.
Fucking yeah, they just immediately follow through with it, and it's great.
Yeah,
you could almost take that segment and make it into like segment for like Trick or Treat 2 or something.
Yeah. Remember that time we were giving
like
baby
just a
to our
random
kids?
segment in an anthology movie.
Yeah. Have that make them like having
Turns out
a bunch of the kids as adults reminiscing about. Remember that one time we were giving that demon baby?
it'd be awesome if like a new hospital was built on top of it, and it just so happened that the maternity ward sat right above where they buried the demon baby. So he could make a bunch of fucking babies like possessed by him. That'd be fucking sweet, dude. Just to have scenes where someone's fighting off a bunch of newborns, like swarm the fucking newborns.
They look in that room where they like have the babies like sleeping. You just see them all hovering over their bassinets.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's pretty much Demonic Toys, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this discussion. We will be back at you here real soon with the third part of our trilogy of talks here, and that's going to be For Tall Man versus Demonic Toys.
Hell yeah!
So I'm looking forward on. There's some funny movies that we need.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. One of my favorite. I almost call it a Marvel movie.
I'm dressed as a dead Joe. Hey, you wouldn't be quite wrong. I mean, we've been over that.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I want to put together a more concrete sort of presentation for the Full Moon Revengers thing.
Hell
so
yeah!
I'll hit you with that. I've got that done because I'd like to make a video.
We should try to work out the script details in the next episode.
We should. So do you have anything you want to plug before we get out of here tonight, Chris? You got anything coming up that you're going to be putting out there?
I don't really have anything planned for the channel, but well, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's the old S Retro Gamer on YouTube. Just type that in, you'll find me. For the podcast that I do, it's called The Movie Starting, and it's available on all major podcast download sites. We got a franchise series coming up where we watch all of the 80s and 90s Batman movies. And those are pretty fun.
Nice.
And also, you can check me out on the Super Enabler Brothers show over on Corpse Flood Gaming's channel. We do like a geek movies, music, video games, comic book geek show that we do together.
Yeah, it's great. Definitely check it out. Well, that's awesome, man. I don't have anything planned personally other than just rolling out more discussions and doing some full moon reviews. I'm, however,
Hell
planning
yeah.
on maybe diving into a lot of Dark Horse comics in the future. So something to look forward to.
Those
That does
Aliens
it for
comics
this
that they
discussion.
released were awesome.
Oh man, the Alien, the Predator, the Alien versus Predator, that was like my childhood right there.
Yeah.
Because we didn't, we had Resurrection, and then that was it for a long time. So that satisfied my thirst for all that shit back then in a good way. A lot of them are pretty fucking good.
Oh yeah.
So there's that coming. But as always, I've been Mosley. You've been a bunch of sexy beasts. And this has been yet another episode of That Full Moon Live, baby. Much more to come. We are 5 episodes down of our 23 film lineup. Great progress made over the last week, and I imagine that's just going to keep going. Crash and Discussion did have to be rescheduled, so we got that coming up, and I've got some friends I'm going to be talking to right now about their pick for their episode. We also have Arcade coming up and a couple other ones. I'd have to consult the calendar, but we've got just about half of them either done or booked, so that's pretty exciting. Looking forward to the rest of them. Thank you for joining us, Chris. And we'll see you back here next
Thanks
time.
for having me.